Be honest, where are you right now? Probably with your tech, right? Watching me on the phone, scrolling on the laptop, probably even listening to me or, playing with your smartwatch, doing something with your tech devices. All understandable, I'm not quarreling with you there. But what if I told you that one of those devices is carcinogenic and could probably give you some type of cancer over time? In 2025, the University of Notre Dame conducted research. Now, the research was published on Environmental Science Letters, and it was based on the topic, could smartphones, could techs be carcinogenic? Now, 22 smartwatch brands were tested, including popular brands such as Apple, Samsung, Google, and many other Android brands. Now, the research findings were that most of these smartwatch brands, including Apple, had elevated levels of forever chemicals. Now, forever chemicals in this case were PFAS. PFAS meaning perfluoric acid. Now, perfluoric acid is contraindicated because it has a consistent bioaccumulative toxic effect which could be carcinogenic if used for over a long time. Now, Apple is indicated specifically in this video because Apple markets itself as being a brand that is luxurious, expensive, and quality and safe for its consumers, and also the fact that it's by far the most bought out brand compared to the rest. Now, Apple has since responded to this, saying they are trying to, as much as possible, replace the PFAS in their watches with more bio-safe, more healthy chemicals. But they've also said that of their batteries with lithium, and they've said out about a bunch of other things which we all know is more or less just damage control. This video is all about finding out what the immediate threats are and how your phone contributes to disease causing, not just in cancer, but diseases in general. Let's go. Enter into evidence the 2025 lawsuit against Apple. Now, this lawsuit accused Apple of hypocrisy after they advertised their different smartwatch brands such as the Ocean brand, the Nike brand, and whatever types of Apple brands they have, because I don't even use Apple. And they essentially market these brands as environmentally friendly and the most important tool for a healthy life. Now, independent research has since found that this is all lies because these chemicals, or rather these watches, have chemicals in them that make them carcinogenic in the long run. Now, these chemicals are your PFAS or perfluoric alkyl substances, or you can say polyfluoric alkyl substances. Now, we're going to get into that in a minute, but these essentially are in the rubber bands in your Apple straps, and over time, because they're non-biodegradable, they kind of accumulate on the skin and become toxic. I promise I'd explain what PFAS are. Now, PFAS are synthetic forever chemicals. They are substances used by tech companies like Apple, Google, and Samsung to make their watch straps to be smooth and durable, water repellent, oil repellent, and all types of repellent, just to make sure it is good enough for you and lasts as long as it can. Now, the problem with this is that these chemicals themselves have been indicated to be causes of certain lesions in the kidney, liver, and even thyroid disorders, and yes, have also been indicated to cause increased cancer risks. If we're talking about smartwatches and PFAS, let's address the radiation monster first. Now, whether it's Bluetooth devices from your smartwatch penetrating into your wrist, or a smartphone against your ear going to your brain, people are often worried about radiation and the long-term impacts of it on the human body. But I think you're probably looking at the wrong thing, because clinically speaking, radiation can be divided into two. You have your ionizing radiation and your non-ionizing radiation. Now, X-rays and UV light from the sun are good examples of ionizing radiation. They're said to be ionizing because they're like microscopic wrecking balls. They can destroy your DNA and cause it to have numerous cancerous mutations, which over time will present as cancers. Now, the exact opposite of that end of the spectrum is your non-ionizing radiation, of which your phones, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi fall under. Now, these are so powerless in their energy levels that the most they can actually do to you is just raise your body heat by a fraction of a percent. They don't really do much, they can't mutate your DNA, and this is also backed up by the fact that tons and tons of epidemiological research has been done on this. In the last 10 to 20 years, as tech has exploded, people have not really reported cancers being associated with phones. I mean, obviously, malignancies such as cancers have exploded over the last 20, 30 years, particularly conditions like breast cancer and lung cancer. But this is not just due to phones. This is due to, better research, more screening. This is also due to, for lung cancer anyway, people smoking more, and a bunch of other things too. So phones, while can be indicated in some cases, are not inherently carcinogenic by property. So if you think your phone is giving you cancer, please think again. It is important to address the more immediate threats that phones and tech generally are causing. Now, the first of which is your 60-pound pressure. Now, the head, or the average human head, generally weighs about 10 to 12 pounds. But when you're tilting your head, say at about 60-degree angle to watch, say, your watch or your phone, without it being at your eye level, the problem is, by physics, the weight of 10 to 12 grams certainly turns to about 60 pounds of pressure against your spine. Now, over time, this will lead to early disc degeneration. It will also lead to flattening of your otherwise curved spine. And obviously, there is what is called the tech neck, which is like a broadened, conical shaped neck. I mean, obviously, the neck is already kind of conical, but in a sense, it's a wider base and smaller thin top. So, except you want to look like a monster, but in the long run, though, this is what you might see. But right now, not so much. But what can you do is, instead of always lowering your head to watch your iPhone or bending your head to see your watch, instead try to raise your hands up and bring it up to your eye level. It makes a lot of difference in the long run. Secondly is the blue light threat. Now, blue light is the light we normally get from our phones, and it's meant to mimic the light from the sun. Obviously, now newer phones have what you call a brown filter or an orange filter to make the lights more or less mimicry of the sun, so it's more protective for your eyes. But even away from the eyes, just using your phone at night and with the blue light into your eye causes the release of less amounts of melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone needed for us to sleep. And without sleep, obviously, you're going to get tired. Now, it's not just melatonin alone. With cortisol being secreted more in the mornings and nights, and obviously you not going and getting enough sleep, there's going to be high amounts of cortisol in your blood. And obviously, if you have ever heard anything about Cushing syndrome, probably another video might do that, you should know that Cushing syndrome itself is a metabolic condition characterized or caused by high amounts of cortisol is in your blood. And you don't want that. Please, you don't want that, okay? So please put the phone down and go to bed. Now, the worst one of all is the hygiene part. Now, your phone, or for most people, our phones are very dirty. I mean, very dirty, not physically, but microscopically. I mean, you take your phones, to the rail system, to the bathroom stalls, to the kitchen, to the playground, in your pocket, sitting on it from the battery. Like, it is just a perfect breeding ground for bacteria because one, the battery keeps it warm, and a lot of bacteria is like a good warm environment for growth. Now, obviously, your phone screen probably has E. coli, has lots of what I call them now, aerodynamic organisms, has lots of, I wouldn't even say nosocomial organisms because these are not even hospital related, but a lot of organisms that are everywhere. And by everywhere, I mean everywhere. So most likely your phone is even dirtier than the public toilet seat, microscopically speaking. But we're not going to talk about that. But what we're going to talk about is how you can actually be better off. Okay? Now, what you should do, and what I try to do as regularly as I can, is use a bodily spirit. By spirit, it could be alcohol, it could be methyl alcohol, just some type of aseptic technique, just like a disinfectant. Don't use chlorine. All right, I'm not saying to use your phone or use iodine. No, I need something that's more clear, like alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol is fine. Just use that maybe once a week. Just clean your screen, clean the back of your phone, and that's enough. All right, it's just a little hygiene measure. Okay, don't get OCD over it. Okay, now that is the end of today's video. I really enjoyed making this, and please, I'm not saying you should throw your Apple phones or your Samsungs or whatever. I'm just trying to say that maybe you should use your devices less. I mean, taking a 20-minute break every hour on doom scrolling is actually more helpful for you than you might actually realize. Just going out there, as Coleman Domingo says, you'll find real love when you look outside your phone. Go outside, make friends, have fun, be with people, have sex, live your life. Just be happy. Don't be in your phone all the time. And I use the word in specifically. So, toodles.